You don't need another strategy. Here's what you actually need to figure out why you can't implement the things that you already know. I'm Dr. Brooklyn Storm, former psychologist, now business coach, and I help women just like us to build profitable private practices, usually in under 12 months. Being neurodivergent means I see the patterns that other coaches miss, but it also means I'm a truth teller, so I'm not interested in giving you any business advice that sounds good or might be trending, but doesn't actually work for us. Welcome to the Practice Momentum podcast, where we're going to get your private practice sorted out. Thanks so much for being here, and let's get on with the next episode. Okay, guys, not going to lie. It rarely happens. Normally, I just turn on the computer and I open up GarageBand, I hit go, and I'm good to go. But for some reason today, I must have started this podcast about 27 times. I don't know why. For some reason, I keep getting in my head that, oh, you shouldn't have said it like that. That's not good enough. What? This isn't the way that I normally think, so I don't know what's going on for me. So I've decided now that I'm just going to have some self-compassion and just let myself say what I want to say and trust that it's what you need to hear today. So thank you for tuning in for another episode and for being part of my world. Okay, so what we're going to do is talk about what's working now in May 2026 when it comes to increasing conversions on your website, right? So conversion could be somebody booking an appointment, signing up for supervision, signing up for enrolling in your online course, downloading your lead generation freebie thing, all of that. We're going to talk about that. And I'm going to go over it in 5 areas based on a couple of things. One is all the recent website wellness checks that have been done, and the other is all the latest research. So I'm just going to put that all together for you, and you will leave this episode being able to go and have a look at your website and go, oh, okay, I get it. I see now. I need to fix that thing or fix that thing or fix that thing, and it's going to make a whole lot of sense, right? Okay, so if you're driving, maybe you're just going to have to make mental notes, but if you're do a meal prep or something on the weekend, maybe get a pen and piece of paper handy so you can take some notes if you need to. Okay, so we're going to talk about 5 things, but either overarching or equally, you might say underpinning, all of that is one very, very important thing. None of this is going to work if this other one thing here isn't in place. And the thing that I'm talking about is having a website that is like Teflon. We want the user experience to be very, very smooth for your clients. Frictionless as possible. And by that, what we want to do is make it super duper easy for them to have everything that they need to make a decision about doing the thing with you and getting started. Okay, we don't want them feeling frustrated or confused, overwhelmed, disconnected, none of that. Okay, some examples of what can cause friction are things like not having the information that people generally look for readily available, like the fees, right? So you want to have very obvious, there should be a tab right up the top. So you've got all your tabs that say home, services, fees, home, about, services, fees, and then you would have frequently asked questions, and then blogs or resources if you offer those things. You don't have to. Then you would have contact, and then you would have your nice big book button, right? So we want to have the information that they need readily available. If you're hiding the fees, it makes it very frustrating for a client and you lose them. Okay, if there's no easy way for them to get started, whether it's sending you a text, whether it's booking into your online diary or something like that, you're going to lose them, and they will just go to somebody who does offer an easier way for them to get started. And you know that this is true for yourself, right? You've probably done the same thing. Maybe if you're going and getting your nails done or booking in for the massage or the hairdresser or whatever it is, you've ended up going and having a look and clicking off the websites that were just like, it's too hard. That's what I'm talking about. If your client's feeling like it's too hard, you've lost them. So that's the overarching / underpinning thing. It must feel easy for a client. All right. Moving on to the 5 things. The first thing is really making sure that we are building rapport right from the outset. So instead of having a logo that says, I don't know, Brooklyn Storm Counseling up in the top left of your website, and then right in the middle of the homepage up the top saying again, Brooklyn Storm Counseling, don't do that, right? You've just lost people. What you want to do there is let me know that I'm in the right place as your ideal client. And then beneath that, you want to have like a little tagline or byline that just kind of explains, in 1 or 2 sentences in a little bit more detail. That's it. It's very important when you're writing not to use jargon, okay? It's going to work better also if you're not using cliches. Some common cliches are things like, I'm going to walk alongside you on your healing journey. Now, you don't talk to people like that. It would be weird. If I called your practice today and I said, hey, I was thinking of booking in for a session, but can you tell me a little bit more about what you do? You're probably not going to tell me, oh, hey, Brooklyn, yeah, I'm going to walk alongside you on your healing journey through your major life transitions. You're not going to speak like that. So it doesn't work on your website. The website writing for us in our industry works best and converts more highly when it's conversational. If you wouldn't say it out loud to a client, it does not go on the website. It happens for all kinds of reasons. We feel like we need to present in a certain way, or we're copying what other people have put on their websites, or we're still stuck in jargon and academia. And it feels really weird to just write conversationally. We feel like we should be doing more, but it's the should be doing more that's costing you the inquiries. Just be a human and write in a very conversational way on the website. Okay. The other thing too is wherever possible, throughout, have a primary focus. Okay. So one primary call to action. You might see it written as CTA sometimes, but you want to have one primary one, and then of course you're going to have a couple of other ones here and there. So let me give you some examples. You might say something like, book now, schedule your first appointment, get started, right? So they're all calls to action around one specific thing. But you might have, so in this case, I'm thinking about what you would use on your button text if it was to get clients in the diary for sessions, right? But around that on your website, you might also have calls to action for people to download your free thing or sign up to your newsletter and things like that. But you would only mention those once or twice throughout. The main one, the primary one that you're going to be mentioning multiple times throughout your website, should always be connected to the main thing that you're selling, okay? And we want to keep other navigation links to other things to a bare minimum. Remember, this is about keeping it simple. If you go saying, click this link here and that link there and click this link here and that, you're going to confuse people, and a confused mind doesn't take any action other than clicking off and finding the private practice website that makes it very simple. We want to give people the clearest way, right? Not the most confusing way. The other thing that is very, very important now in May 2026 is something that's called exit design. So exit design means that a client can click out of your website very quickly if they needed to in a hurry. And this is very, very important for niches that are quite vulnerable. Maybe, I don't know, domestic violence, for example. By including a function or a feature in your website around safety and exit design, such as perhaps a discrete little icon that they can click on that gives them a safe exit or a quick escape. It would also function to maybe protect that user's privacy. But having something like that on your website, if you're in that space, can really help build immediate trust with your practice and increase the potential for that particular client to come and start working with you, because other people don't offer it, right? So safety and exit design being built into your website, if you're working with vulnerable populations at the moment, is becoming increasingly popular. You have an opportunity now to get ahead of this and, set it as, something that you do that makes you a preferred provider. You can be on top of this right now. But I imagine over the next few months, it's probably going to become standard and expected. Your clients are going to expect that you've got that quick escape, right? Where their privacy is still protected and stuff like that. So get ahead of it now so that you can be one of the first ones, and you can say, at our practice, we offer you this, like click here or very important. Okay, the other thing, like moving into the second area now, is just making sure that your website looks good on a mobile device, usually a mobile phone, not necessarily iPads. I'm talking about mobile phones here. So we want to make sure it's just simple things, but you probably don't even think about it because when we make a website, we're doing it on our laptop or our desktop, right? But think about your experience as a user when you're on other people's websites on your phone, right? So we want to make sure that the navigation is really, 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 really easy, right? It's called thumb-friendly navigation because lots of people using fingers and thumbs to move around on websites when they're on their phones. But over 70% of searches for therapists take place on mobile devices. So just making sure that your book button or your, download button or whatever it is nice and big and easy for somebody with a fat thumb to tap and get started, right? We want to make it easily clickable for them with one hand. Another thing that can work really, really well is making sure that on your phone you do have click to call functionality, right? So placing a really prominent click to call phone number in the mobile header on your website so that potential clients can reach out rather than having to go finding your contact page and then seeing, that, now they've got to submit something through here. Let's give them easy navigation, whack it up the top, call me now, get started now, here's the number, click to call, right? We want to put that there, making sure you've got that functionality. If you want to put the phone number in other places on your website, definitely put it in the footer and definitely put it in the contact section. And again, just make sure that if somebody's on their mobile phone, they can tap the number and it will actually connect, right? We need it to be working. There's nothing worse than seeing a phone number and tapping on it and nothing happens, right? And so you start tapping it, stabbing at your screen with your finger some more, trying to make it work, and it doesn't. Very frustrating. And then the third thing that you can do that will help you get more clients, of the 70% that are using their mobile phones, is just making sure that you've got a really fast load speed. So things that can bring this down are videos, right? Videos are notoriously bad. I never recommend them for private practice websites because all kinds of reasons. Not only do they load slowly, if the video isn't relevant, somebody's just going to click out. But also, if your user is somebody who's already anxious or they're experiencing neurodivergence and things like that, sometimes like having videos there can be very, very distracting, kind of like scrolling banners and things like that is just like scrolling on autopilot and there's no way to stop them from scrolling. It's very distracting if you're trying to read information about therapy and getting started, but you're being distracted all the time by this moving video or this moving banner. You end up clicking out, right? Because you can't concentrate on what you need to be doing. And plus, again, they take longer to load. And Google, just one of the search engines, of course, but Google, for example, will just show faster loading pages to potential clients than slower ones. The general rule of thumb around load speed is that if it takes longer than about 3 seconds, it causes people who are already a little bit anxious and a little bit stressed to bounce, and they go over to another provider, right? Yeah, there's so much research on that. So yeah, and it's not only videos that do that. It's sometimes some websites have huge pictures on them, and the picture just keeps, like, even when I'm scrolling, I'm still seeing the picture, and I don't know why. And it's this massive picture that is causing something called drag for your website. We don't want that. Get rid of it altogether and just put block color behind for your private practice website. Or if that picture is definitely adding value and that client really is benefiting from seeing it, then just reduce the size of it. Okay, much easier. Okay, the third thing is making sure that you've got your trust signals, right? So this is why I'm always saying to you guys, like, make sure if you've got a trust logo that it is added. And I always recommend adding it into the footer of your website, even if you only have one trust logo. Don't avoid putting it on because you think maybe people are going to think poorly of you because you've only got one. One is better than none, and you only need one, but put it somewhere where they're going to see it. And the reason that I say stick it in the footer is because the footer is repetitive content. It doesn't matter what page of your website I'm on. If I'm going to be in the homepage and then I click into services and then I click into about and then I click into contact, every single one of those pages shows me the footer. So it's another touch point for me to get the visual cue that you're credible, you know what you're doing, you're an authority, you're trustworthy. It's very, very important. So yeah, having that logo, very important. Something else, if you don't have a logo, that you could do is definitely in the about section where appropriate, do dot point your qualifications or list off your memberships, right? Some people will definitely want to see that. But there are other things that you can do as well that convey trust. That's things like social proof. So generally, I think it's a bad idea to waste time with testimonials in counseling. Obviously, we can't use them in psychology like APRAs, like, yeah, we don't do that. Social work, you can, like ASW's okay with it. But in counselling, especially with all the tightening up that's happening at the moment around national standards, I just would never advise it because number one, we want to protect clients. But also number two, if you're not able to identify a client by their name, by their photo, by anything else, then they lose the credibility. And what's the point? Like, how do we know you didn't just get ChatGPT to go and make them up? And I was going to say caught. I have seen websites that have had testimonials on them that have been clearly written by AI. I can tell because I recognize the language patterns, and there's still the friggin' M dashes everywhere, like 5 or 6 in one short testimonial. Humans don't write like that. So don't fake your testimonials. It only ends up discrediting you and people click off. So I would say don't use a testimonial for clients. I think if you've got a product or a service, maybe, I don't know, you've got a course or you've got a lead magnet or something like that, absolutely go for it. Go and get a testimonial for that, or screenshot something and remove the person's details and things like that will absolutely work for you because it's showing something that's happened in real time. You've blocked out the person's name, you've blocked out their I don't know if they've got a profile picture or something like that, you block that out. So no one in the public would be able to say, oh, I know that person, right? You've de-identified it. That is going to work much better, as well as you can do other things like send people a Google form to fill out, asking for feedback. Let them know, hey, I'm going to be using this to create some posts for my social media or to create, marketing materials. How are you happy for me to identify you? This is something that I do. And I give people the option and they can choose anything or nothing. And I let them choose from, first name, last name, name of their business, where they're located, their profession, their business name. Like, I give them so many options, and they can just go and tick the ones that they're happy for me to use, right? And if they don't want me to use any, that's perfectly okay too. And they know that because it says it. And so they won't tick anything. That's okay. If in that case, I can just put anonymous, and they're perfectly okay with that. So, there are different ways of getting social proof, but you've got to make sure it's for the right things, and something that has, can be verified is always going to work better than something that looks like it was invented. And unfortunately, if we're not able to identify people, it can look a little bit like it was invented or made up, and it doesn't add any value, right? We're not giving a client who might be on the fence and a little bit nervous about doing the thing any confidence when they can't verify anything. Something else that you could do that can help build credibility and trust, of course, is mentioning about privacy and confidentiality in the services section, and also, of course, having privacy as a clickable link, as is required in Australia for all businesses that have an ABN. You must have a clickable website privacy policy in the footer of your website, right? So little things like that work really, 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 really well. They just let clients know how you're handling their data. So if they fill in the contact form, or if you're tracking their cookies, stuff like that. Also, having something where they will see it again, I would put this in the footer around, I'm not a crisis service. If you're needing crisis support, call this number, click here. Having that will also help build trust. Okay, the fourth thing is direct messaging for your niche. Now, don't get too caught up on niches and start to feel, boxed in, trapped, all of the things. There are so many ways to have a niche. It could be your modality, your philosophy, your beliefs, what you stand for, what you don't stand for. It might be your location. It might be, anything can be your niche, okay? Don't get too panicky about it. And your niche is going to change. Trust me. Over the years, for most of us, our interests are going to change as we grow, as we gather experience, as we build practice wisdom, as we go and do more PD, all of the things, our interests are going to change, and our practice is going to evolve, right? You're never locked in. But generalist websites in 2026 are struggling to convert compared to practices that really do speak to a specific area, okay? Instead, customizing landing pages for specific, whatever it is that you're going to do, but your group or your modality or whatever it is that the niche is going to be works so much better, okay? And the other thing that works really, really well when it comes to niche messaging is making sure that images are consistent with what you're offering. So some people get this wrong. Like, they will, on their website, they will perhaps put an image of somebody crying, or somebody looking out a window at a rainy day, or somebody, with their head in their hands. The client has their head in their hands. Nobody wants to see that. It works better, it converts better if you've got an image of what they want. Okay, they already know what they don't want. They already know where they are. They already know they've got their head in their hands and they're having a really crappy day. They're coming to you to see what's possible. So, for example, if you're a couples therapist, instead of putting, a picture from Adobe, whatever, is it Shutterstock? I can't ever remember. It's been that long since I've used stock images. But instead of putting an image of a couple with their backs to each other on a couch in a counselling room on the page, it's better to put a picture of a couple embracing, right? We're showing the outcome here, okay? We're not showing the conflict in this case. We're showing the outcome. And then the other thing that works really well when it comes to the messaging is, using, again, the language, the words, the phrases that your clients use. So rather than, banging on about Gottmans and the Four Horsemen, like your clients don't know anything about that, start writing content about what if my partner won't come to couples counseling? How do I introduce the idea of couples counseling to my partner, right? Content like that is going to get surfaced more quickly and more easily for you, right? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. You know this stuff. You got to just get out of the mindset of, I need to do it a certain way. You don't. You just have to be yourself, and you have to really demonstrate through the information that you're sharing that you do understand your niche, right? And then the last thing there is, it's two things really, but it's about streamlining. So the most, well, I was going to say the most important thing, but they're equally important. Let me say one thing is making sure that you've got frictionless forms. So that just means making sure that people can get started with you, and then they can like digitally sign the forms for consent or enrollment or the joining and stuff like that, right? We don't want people having to print out PDFs, like try and hook up the printer to the computer again because it's been, 5 years since they've, used it. We want to make it really, really easy. So letting them be able to fill out forms online and not email them back to you. The forms should just automatically update in your practice management software, right? Nothing more for the client to do. They just have to open it, read it, sign and date it, and boom, it's done. Okay, they don't have to download it to their phone, try and figure out, did it go to Google Drive? Did it go to iCloud? Is it in my Dropbox? I can't find it. And then they're just not going to bother with the rest. We don't want to do that. Make it super easy. And then the thing that's becoming more common now is having an AI powered assistant on your website. And this is interesting too, because actually we have like a little bit of a group chat, or we had a group chat in Practice Momentum. And I had said to people a few months ago, hey, I'm thinking of putting this thing together. Would you be interested in it? And, some of them were saying to me, I don't know, because it feels really impersonal. And I think it would be better if it was, more personal. But the thing is that the websites that are having the higher conversions now are starting to include things like this, right? So on my website, I don't have one yet. I have one on, I'm not sure if I still have it actually. I'll have to check. But I had one on my sales page for Practice Momentum, and it was an AI chatbot that I made, and it would help people who wanted to work with me but were having a mild heart attack about the price. And it would work through money challenges, mindset, the stories, the beliefs, the things like that with them. And they had unlimited use of this, right? So there was that. And that worked. And that really did help some of my clients. But the other thing that I've got on my website, and it's a GoDaddy one, is there's a little chat feature. And it's not AI, but it's there anyway. And clients can click on that, and they do, because I get emails every day and notifying me of like what one's clients are clicking on and what questions they're asking. So I've got that, but I will be putting an AI assistant on my website, and I'll be happy to teach you how to make them as well. I'll probably be sharing that first over in the Therapist AI Resource Hub. So that's where you'll go if you want to find out how to do it. But integrating forms and integrating things like an AI-powered assistant on your website, something that's compliant with your code of ethics and with Australian privacy principles and things like that. It's just like becoming now a proven way to engage late night visitors to websites, because it can answer basic questions and guide them into booking immediately. And there is so much research on this at the moment. You can go and find out for yourself. So for anybody who was thinking, it's not going to work for me, my clients want to speak to a real person, not true. The data is saying the opposite. The data is saying the AI assistant, if it's there 24/7, it can answer somebody's questions in the middle of the night and guide that person to a booking if they're a good fit for the practice. That's what's converting now. Then yeah, it's just helpful for you to know that. Really, really important. Yep. So yeah. The other things that can work really, really well is, so that's your 5, by the way, but I just want to add this one in too. Like if you haven't heard already, or you're not doing it yet, in your individual pages on your website, do go and add, a little mini frequently asked questions to the bottom, and don't just make them up. Don't just imagine this is what you think a client's going to ask. Actually go and do the research, not with ChatGPT. Go and do the research properly, and come back and put the right mini frequently asked questions on the bottom of each page. It will really help your website get found and discovered more quickly and easily by AI, which can help your visibility, right? And you can use these strategies, a lot of them, for your posts on your socials, but also for things like your blogs, email marketing, your LinkedIn, your YouTube, transcripts and content, your podcasts, all of those kinds of things. Very, very helpful and useful. The other things that can really work for you very well, we've got the Chrome extension called Therapist SEO. So you can pop that and into your toolbar and then open up your website, and it assesses each page of your website one at a time and tells you exactly what's working, what's not, and gives you the fixes, including little AI prompts for you to just go and copy and paste into your favorite AI platform, work with the AI, get the personalized output, and then go whack it back onto the website, hit publish, and you're good to go. So there's that. Something else that you can use, it's not for your website, but it's for Psychology Today. There's a Psychology Today Profile Optimiser. You can use that. That will update your Psychology Today profile so that it resonates more with your niche, and it's optimized for SEO, discoverability, and of course AI discoverability. What else have I got for you? I have something else that hasn't been published yet, but it will be published, I think, maybe by the end of the day, but I will save it for the next episode. So there's tools there that you can use that will definitely help you. Yeah, but of course, if you're stuck or you have a few questions and you're just needing some quick answers, feel free to send me a little bit of an email. More than happy to help you out if I can. So yeah, you've got your things. Just to recap, make sure that it's friction free. We want a Teflon user experience. We want them to be able to get started with you. The gold standard is 2 clicks. Count the number of times you have to click something to book an appointment on your own website, and get somebody who doesn't know your website to do it, right? Because here's the thing, if you know your website and you're on it all the time, you're already going to know the most efficient way. But give it to somebody who's never been on the website before, and instead of like telling them, no, don't click there, just bite your tongue, stand back, count the number of clicks, see how many it takes, right? For a cold person who's never seen it before, who's not tried to book in before, count the clicks. A smooth experience. Make sure that all the information they need is there. The fees tab must be on there, for example. Very, very important. All right, my lovelies. I hope that this was super duper helpful. Yeah, if there's anything else you need, of course, just reach out. Otherwise, have a lovely day, and I'll see you in the Saturday edition. Bye. And that's a wrap for this episode of the Private Practice Podcast. So as you reflect on today's insights, imagine creating real success in your private practice without going down rabbit holes or exhausting yourself with business activities that don't move the needle. With Practice Momentum, you have push of a button help available on demand. It's like having an expert in your pocket ready to guide you whenever you need it. Visit brooklynstorm.com to discover how Practice Momentum can transform your approach to building a thriving practice. I'm Dr. Brooklyn Storm, and I'll see you next time as we continue exploring the mind, business, and spirit of private practice success.